when places like Wheaton College, supposedly bastions of Christian conservatism, fold in the midst of a fight. Because the Daily Wire reported, and they said on Thursday, the Senate confirmed Russ Vought, who has a strong pro-life record, to lead the Office of Management and Budget, with all 53 Republicans voting in his favor. The following day, Wheaton's social media accounts commended Vought, posting that the school congratulate and praise for him. So here's the original post that Wheaton put out. Wheaton College congratulates and praise for 1998 graduate Russell Vought regarding his senatorial confirmation to serve as the White House Director of the Office of Management and Budget. So that post was made on Thursday, but by Saturday morning, negative comments left by Facebook commenters prompted Wheaton College to post this. On Friday, Wheaton College posted a congratulations and a call to prayer for an alumnus who received confirmation to a White House post. The recognition and prayer is something we would typically do for any graduate who reached that level of government. However, the political situation surrounding the appointment led to a significant concern expressed online. It was not our intention to embroil the college in a political discussion or dispute. Our institutional and theological commitments are clear that the college as a nonprofit institution does not make political endorsement. Wheaton College's focus is on Christ and his kingdom. Now, I love the cowardly hiding behind the Johnson Amendment. We're not making a political statement here to react to a bunch of progressives and libtards out there commenting on this Facebook post. But oddly enough, they'll apologize for posting something of a conservative nature, but there will be no such apology and no such remorse for doing things like this, as the Daily Wire reported. While Wheaton did not make any formal political endorsements in the run-up to the 2024 presidential election, the school did host a political event with anti-Trump speakers on September 12th. It welcomed the After Party, a political Bible study program created by New York Times columnist David French, and I'll also add avid never-Trumper, Christianity Today editor-in-chief Russell Moore, and Duke Divinity consulting professor Curtis Chang, all three of whom openly opposed Trump's candidacy. French went as far as to endorse Kamala Harris, while Chang called Trump's win a disaster for the country that left him in anguish. Poor baby. So the Daily Wire asked Wheaton College for comment on whether or not they had any conservative speakers come in the run-up to Donald Trump's election, and of course there was no comment given. So here is the point for all Christian conservatives out there living in this post-Christian society. First and foremost, notice the love and the tolerance and the acceptance crowd that were very quick to jump on Wheaton College the moment they said that they appreciated their alumnus getting this position and that we should pray for him. Now, this is not a political endorsement, obviously. It's just them saying something the Bible tells them to do, that they should pray for this guy. Now, I'll admit to you that it was difficult for me, but I prayed for Joe Biden because the Bible tells me to do it. So this isn't even a political endorsement, but even if it were, the love and the tolerance crowd and those that say that they're creating space for the marginalized are obviously complete and total hypocrites. They do not care about saving space for people. They do not care about protecting people who are being attacked and showing love and compassion. That is nothing less than a manipulative tactic to make sure that Christian conservatives shut up. Because the moment that a Christian conservative actually achieves anything, they will relentlessly attack that person and cry for that person to be canceled. Now, I will say, well, hey, I agree with you guys. We shouldn't be. And Jesus wasn't. Not only is the love, tolerance, and acceptive crowd totally hypocrites, but the truth is that you really can't be loving and accepting of everything. And if you were, you would be a monster. Because there are some things that we should decry as a society and absolutely hate, and those things should be canceled. So yeah, I'm all for cancel culture when we are canceling evil. And we should not accept and tolerate things that are patently evil and bad for society. And then the second thing is this. Please, oh please, if you hear me say anything today, it is this. Christians, stop apologizing for the truth. Now, I have a rule of thumb here. If I say the truth and somebody doesn't like it, I do not apologize to them because that's not a me problem, that's a them problem. Now, if maybe my tone was rude, or if I said something that is not factually based, or I misrepresented something, I will apologize. There is nothing wrong with apology, and we are commanded to do it. But I do not apologize to people when I've told the truth. If they respond to the truth that way, I will act like Jesus did, and I will double down and tell the truth more. This is why I, as a Christian, do not affirm anyone's gender identity or their preferred pronouns. This kind of weakness has been, I think, ingrained in us because of the culture in which we live. We live in an anti-Christian culture that is constantly attacking Christianity. And we think, well, we need to do something to prove ourselves to this culture, and so we want to show them how loving we are. But the problem with that is all that does is display weakness to a group of people who hate Christianity. This is why whenever you score points with the left, you are not gaining a new appreciation for your nuance. That's not what people are doing for you. What they are doing is they are recognizing the fact that you are a cheap, weak patsy and you can be taken advantage of. This kind of weakness has been ingrained in us by the seeker church, which has told us in a post-Christian culture the way that we need to present Jesus is just as loving and a guy that gives you purpose. And essentially, we're God's PR men, and we need to pretty up the gospel so that it becomes more palatable to people rather than to tell them the truth. And in a world that is negative against Christianity, the one thing that the world needs the most is the truth, because they have been trying to cancel it for far too long. But that act will eventually come back to bite them in the butt, and they will long for a place that will tell them the truth when they realize that wokeism is definitely not going to give it to them. And lastly, we need to recognize something. Claims of scholarship are a total joke in the modern academy. Places like Wheaton College, which are supposed to be conservative, are so weak and pathetic. And if they're not like that, they're very often totally captured by the left and completely echo-chambered. They have no desire to actually tell the truth and to be impartial and to really give people rich, robust scholarship. They only intend to regurgitate their leftist agenda. This is why I joke very often about people who online want to call themselves scholar this or scholar that, and then remind you that they have a doctorate or a PhD. Forget all that nonsense. If you're telling people that, you're not only a shallow man, but you're not a scholar in the first place. When you tell me that you've been peer-reviewed, all I can think to you is, have you seen your peers? Forgive me. The modern day academy is either weak and anemic, or it has been totally captured by the left. And this is not news. This has been happening for a while. Gramsci originally said this about the academy. The history of education shows that every class which has sought to take power has prepared itself for power by an autonomous education. The first step in emancipating oneself from political and social slavery is that of freeing the mind. I put forward this new idea: popular schooling should be placed under the control of the great workers' unions. And by the way, if you couldn't tell, Gramsci is a total radical Marxist, and he wanted to use the union, I don't know, like the teachers' union, to try to indoctrinate kids into Marxism. This is exactly what Rudi Deutsch, I think his last name is, meant when he said that we need a long walk through the institutions back in the 60s and 70s when protesters were clamoring for freedom. What they were actually doing was clamoring for a Marxist revolution that they would take into the academy. And that could be why progressives and libs just recently were outside of the Department of Education, because according to The Hill, multiple members of Congress were denied entry to the Department of Education on Friday. According to videos of social media posts from lawmakers, the incident comes amid rising temperatures over the Trump administration's efforts to shut down the education department completely. President Trump has said that he would like to close the department via executive order, though fully doing so would require congressional action. Trump is reportedly weighing executive actions to shutter parts of the agency or move its primary functions elsewhere. Billionaires can go in this building, but not representatives. Representative Mark Takano of California said in a video. Speaking of a lack of transparency in these Democrats who really want to fight for the Department of Education because it's just simply a tool that they use to indoctrinate children, you may remember Takano, who I just quoted from What is a Woman, where there was a lack of transparency about bathroom usage.
There are some women who say, and I've talked to a few who say this, they say, hey, I'd like some privacy in the bathroom. I'd prefer not to encounter naked penises, frankly.
Bathrooms are, where you want to take this conversation instead of the basic right to just life.
My, how quickly our intellectual elites run to emotional blackmail when they cannot answer a straightforward question. Should men be able to use women's bathrooms? Well, this is a right to life question. It's almost like saying my right to punch you in the face is a fundamental freedom because I reserve the right to be able to do whatever I want to with my hands. Let's get really clear. The left has captured the academy and they have done their best to bully them. but we need to take a stand. Jesus told us to be wise as serpents, gentle as doves. I'm all for being gentle, and I'm all for being loving. But when somebody encroaches upon your territory, just like a snake would do, you must strike back to make sure that they do not mean you or your kids or your culture harm. All right, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you found this show helpful to you, don't forget to become a member over at indythinker.org/support, where you can gain access to exclusives, extras, and perks like ebooks, audiobooks, and Christian films. Check out the description of this podcast to look for our sponsors, and most importantly, go with God.